everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia Chendu, and here we talk about how to cultivate an atmosphere of heaven on earth and to make Jesus famous. Thank you all so much, like literally, for your patience. I feel like it's been a long time, but it's only been a month. And I just have been asking the Father, like, what is it that you want to speak to your children? What message, what word do you have for them? Because I really don't like to come on here and just ramble. I think I've made that very clear to you all. I don't like to just come on here and talk. A part of me even was just going to come on here and talk from my heart. Like, okay, let me just share what God's been teaching me in this season. But I don't know. I just didn't really feel a pull in any particular direction. So the Lord just reminded me of something that I learned in my quiet time a few weeks ago, or maybe even more recent than that. And so I just was like, hey, let me just come on here and share this. And I know that it's going to encourage somebody else. So let me just preface this by saying that oftentimes we long for this new thing, right? And I think this is more common when you are about to cross over into the new year. And so that's usually the time that people are seeking God for this new word and this new instruction for the new year. And God, you must give me a word for this year. And I want to name my word for this year. But how many of us know that it's very easy for us to long and look for the new thing, but God oftentimes is saying the same thing he's been saying. Let's just be clear that God oftentimes is saying what he's been said before, right? And I think we really get carried away. I want a new revelation. I want a new prophecy. Give me a word, give me a word, give me a word. And we're itching for this new thing, but we have neglected what God said before, right? What was the last thing God told you to do? Right? Have you done that yet? But you're longing and looking for this next thing, this new thing, because it's exciting. I don't know what it is with newness. It's just like, oh, this is exciting. And it's like the old is like, you know, and I get it, right? I get it. Like we long for change. We long for something exciting, something new, something refreshing. But I think it's also important that while we long for those things, we remember what God has already said. We remember the last thing God has told us to do and that we're faithful to that very thing. And so now I'm going to go ahead and read 1 John chapter 2, verse 6-7. And it says, those who say they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did. Dear friends, I am not writing a new commandment for you. Rather, it is an old one you have had from the very beginning. This old commandment to love one another is the same message you heard before. Okay. And then verse 8 goes to say, yet it is also new. So that's a whole different teaching and study in and of itself that I'm not going to get into because I haven't personally studied into it myself that much. But the focus is really verse 7. Dear friends, I am not writing a new commandment for you. Rather, it is an old one that you have had from the very beginning. And you're probably wondering, what is this old commandment? The old commandment is to love one another, right? This is the same message you have heard before. And so I think it's very important for us to go back to the basics, right? Let's return back to what God has already said. You know, you're longing for this new prophetic word. You're asking God for this new thing, this new direction, this new word, this new inspiration. But God, I feel like, is saying, well, did you accomplish the first thing I told you? Like, did you forget the basic one that I had already told you about? And so I just pray that we don't neglect, we won't be a people that are always longing for and looking for the next best thing. You know, who is the next best preacher? Who is the next best thing? This, that, da, 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 da. But then it's like, but you're not even doing the basic thing that God has called you to do. And so let this speak to you in however way it needs to speak to you. But I just felt like this was something I needed to share. God is still saying, love one another. You know, at the least, you know, if you never get another prophetic word, if you never get a new instruction, if you never get a new revelation, which that's impossible, you will, because God speaks. He never stopped speaking, right? At the least, the Bible says, love one another. This is the same message you have heard before. Love your neighbor as yourself and love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? This is nothing new, guys. Love one another. And then also, those who say that they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did. This is also not a new thing. You guys know that I'm a pro advocate. I'm always advocating holiness, live sanctified, set apart, live as Jesus lived. There's an expectation that as the sons of God, we should live as Jesus lived. It's not a new commandment. This is the same thing. And so I'm sure I have a message on my channel already talking about something like this, but again, it's not a new commandment. Like, it really isn't anything new. And I jokingly said once, I think to the Lord or talking to someone, I was like, God, I don't even know what else I'm supposed to talk about on my channel. Like, I feel like I've talked about everything. But I think that even in those, I guess, mundane things or very common topics, God is still saying the same thing. Okay, love your neighbor as yourself. Live as Jesus lived when he was here on the earth. Okay, and so yeah, I pray that this blessed you. And if this ministered to you, please comment down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.